Good day, awesome YouTubers. It is LollyMan16 here for a very different review today. This one is going to be on Mob Psycho 100. Now, I've been waiting for this series. I'll say that much for sure because it just came out, I believe, a day ago. Actually, anyway, it came out a day ago, and this series is actually the other series to One Punch Man. I'm a very big fan of One Punch Man. I watch the anime all the time. It's awesome. I consider it one of my favorites and one of the best series that there is. I really enjoy One Punch Man, and so I was very excited for Mob Psycho 100, the other series to One Punch, or the author one, that is, anyway. I've just been very, very surprised at this anime so far. So let's get into this. Episode 1, in the Japanese, it is entitled Jisho, and this is going to be kind of hard for me to pronounce, Jisho Rei no Yokushua Arataregen to Mobu, which translates into English as self-proclaimed psychic, Regen or Regen, whatever you want to call him, Arataka and Mob. Yeah, the names are going to have to be taught. I'm going to have some trouble with names, so if I butcher the names, well, I'm going to just have to try and practice them more. But I'll get better as they go on. So this episode is very interesting as we start off with the opening. The opening is a sequence in where it's the main character, Mob. Well, obviously that's the main character. It's a very, very well animated sequence where he's kind of fighting off all these evil monsters, and this really weird, creepy tune plays while he's doing this, and that creepy tune plays again within the episode. But I really like it because the animation is really fluid. It's kind of different than what I'm used to. I've heard that Studio Bones, which I believe is the studio that is animating this series, is kind of leaning more towards the author one's kind of webcomic style, and not like the manga style of One Punch Man, Yusuke Murata. They're not doing it that way. They're kind of doing it differently, and I'm going to have to get used to the animation, but it looks really fluid and really, really bright in color, and I'm very excited. So after the opening sequence, we get the self-proclaimed psychic, this guy named Reagan, whatever you want to call him. He is the teacher of the main character, and he's kind of a self-proclaimed guy. Mostly in this episode, and I believe for episodes to come, he's going to be comic relief because he's a complete fraud. Obviously, he has basically no psychic powers, and what he does to fight off these evil spirits, which I will get into a little bit later, what he does is he uses salt to attack them. Like in the opening sequences, he attacks a evil spirit with salt, but the problem is that the salt, well, it's not the correct kind of salt, and therefore the salt doesn't work because it's not right. There's a different kind of salt that's needed to fend off these evil spirits. So getting into the evil spirits, it looks like this series is just regular old Japan, just like One Punch Man, but it's overrun by evil spirits. And there are these guys called psychics, which I guess they can use kind of powers to fend off these evil spirits. I'm going into this blindly. I have no idea. I've never read the comic, the webcomic. I've never read it. All I know about this series is it is the other creation by one, and so yeah, that's how I got into this one. So after that sequence with Reagan and his client there, they are fighting off that evil spirit. Reagan attacks him with salt and doesn't do anything. So he calls over Mob to come and fend off the problem. Now we get introduced to Mob, who's like, they say he's a middle schooler, so that's kind of a funny deal. I know it's going to be compared, this series, I know it's going to be compared to One Punch Man, like Saitama. You are going to get that a little bit with this character, because what happens is, this character, Mob, he is kind of nonchalant guy, almost like Saitama, but the difference is he's holding back a huge amount of his psychic power, a lot of psychic power that we don't know yet, and I'm going to get into that later on in the episode when they go into the tunnel. So, speaking about that, Mob and Reagan are at the place. I'm not even sure where they're at, but they take care of that evil spirit guy, whatever you want to call him. They take care of him. They go back to, I guess, Reagan's office, and he gives him the pay. He gives him his months, or I don't know, I guess the pay for the day, but he gives him a little bit more because, well, obviously he's done a good job, and he gives him an hourly salary. So the next day, we see Mob, and he's walking past, I guess, what is his school that he goes to, and he sees a bunch of students that he likes, kind of a cliche of protagonist kind of things. Anyway, there's a small sequence I forgot to mention where Mob is at his home and he's eating supper, what it appears to be, and he's bending spoons, which his parents then say, you know, he can't control his power, he's bending spoons again and stuff. By the way, there's this, I forgot to almost mention Mob's actual name. His name is not really Mob. It's some other guy. Let me look it up here. Yeah, it's Kageyama Shigeo. That's his name. I'm going to get used to that name. I'm not really used to very complex Japanese names. So anyway, his name is Kageyama Shigeo, and his brother, he has a brother there at the dinner table, and it's Kageyama Ritsuku, I think. Let me look that up real quickly. It's Ritsu. There we go. Kageyama Ritsu. That's his brother, and it appears to be he's in 7th grade. So Mob himself, Shigeo himself, is a middle schooler. I guess around, like, I don't know, 4th, 5th grade or something like that. Yeah, I don't really know. But anyway, so after this sequence, we cut into the next day where Reagan calls Mob in for a big task, and that is to basically go and investigate this tunnel which college students have been missing from, or there've been a lot of commotion going on at that tunnel. I can't remember what the tunnel is called off the top of my head. And mind you, I'm watching this on Crunchyroll. Just so you guys know, I am watching this on Crunchyroll. That's where I watch this series. But of course, I'm not getting promoted by Crunchyroll or anything. That's just where I'm seeing this. So anyway, moving on. They go into this tunnel and they meet this kind of like this boss type's evil spirit, which you think is a boss because there's like 18 other spirits around them, and actually Mob says there's 18, but then he senses there's more. And what I mean by sensing is Mob apparently can sense the aura of evil spirits. Well, of course Reagan cannot, but anyway, there's a lot of funny jokes in here, comical scenes where it's like Mob's kind of asking Reagan, like, why can't you sense them and stuff, and Reagan's like, oh, you know, once you get to my level you'll be able to sense them, and this kind of stuff. Like, Reagan responds to Mob's questions in funny manners, like his nose is kind of stuffy today. It's a classical comic thing where the guy is a fluke, but he's kind of faking it. So anyway, throughout this scene, Mob fights off a whole bunch of evil spirits, and then he fights off this boss really easily, but he doesn't kill the boss, or what they refer to as melting. He doesn't melt the boss fully. He just powers him down basically to a very small size. And then this guy, we do learn that this guy is like a biker. Okay, what happened is there's a really funny scene. Him and I guess a bunch of bikers went into this tunnel. They slipped over a banana peel and died. Yeah. I know, that's how it is. It's kind of wacky humor, kind of like One Punch Man. I was very surprised. Speaking about One Punch Man, there was a scene where there was another guy with like his chin, like a bald, like a nutsack for a chin. It almost, I don't know what is with one and that character. Obviously, it's a reference to One Punch Man. But I thought that was a really cool scene to put in there. Anyway, so back to the tunnel. Mob fights off the guy, and then there's this other beast, this other spirit that comes in, and he's really deadly looking, really ugly, kind of deadly looking kind of monster. He almost looks like he chews Mob up, but Mob defeats him with no problem. And then we kind of ended from there. The credits start to roll, the music starts to play, awesome credits start to play, and there's actually, well, there's no really proper ending. It's kind of weird. They play the credits and the ending song while there's still things going on. Like, for instance, Reagan and Mob are back at like a train station and they're going out to eat, and then he's like, and then Reagan says to Mob like, "Is ramen okay?" And then, or ramen, ramen noodles, and Mob's like, "Yeah, that's okay, that's fine." All the while the credits are playing, which is kind of interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that before in anime, where there's no official like closing visuals. But I will say that the opening is really nice. A lot of bright colors, kind of a wacky theme song where it's like they count down like 1, 2, 3, and then some Japanese lyrics, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then after that a little bit more lyrics, kind of like that. And then it's all building up to the number 100, which they do get to in the end, and then we get into the actual episode. So that has been episode 1 review. What have I think of it so far? I think it's really awesome. Really great action sequences. I'm not sure how I'm going to get used to the animation style. It's kind of strange to me, but it's well animated. I will say that it's well done, and I can't wait for more. So hope you guys enjoyed the review. I will see you later on, probably next week for Dragon Ball Super episode 52. Stay awesome, everybody, and have a good one.